Rest in peace, Puppet.
Local wrestling group, the Half Pint Brawlers, Overdorf Wrestling in Chicago.
The activists have started to come out. The controversy continues.
Midgets.
Where am I? No.
You call yourself a midget wrestler? I wasn't even say that on the radio.
Hardcore midget wrestling. Nobody's gonna come out and see little people wrestle. It's midget wrestling. I love being a midget. It's just a word, man. Loosen up. Have some fun. Who's ready to see a midget bleed tonight? Rubber man. Rock 'em, take it to the ring. Bloody midgets, that's our thing. Rock 'em, sock 'em, take it to the ring. Hardcore pain is what we bring.
Take it to the center of the ring, open up the cage. It's time to vent some rage on all you small-time bitches. 1, 2, 3, fill your head with 66 stitches. Hit you with a chair, throw your ass way over there. You can stare if you wanna stare. Everybody wants to see a midget bleed, midget bleed. Pop and bleed, pop and bleed. Rock 'em, sock 'em, take it to the ring. Half-pint brawlers, hats on me. Rock 'em, sock 'em, take it to the ring. Hardcore pain is what we bring. Rock 'em, sock 'em, take it to the ring. Half-pint brawlers, hats on me. Rock 'em, sock 'em, take it to the ring. Hardcore pain is what we bring. Broken glasses, thumbtacks in their backs make you say, damn, those bitches jammed. Then it's off to another state, follow the blood trail, ready to fight on any date. Take a staple gun to the head, leave you for dead. HalfPintBrawlers.com is what we said. The more you yell, the more they bleed. Feeling the need, crazy midgets busting through like a stampede. Rock 'em, sock 'em, take it to the ring. Half-pint brawlers, hats on me. Rock 'em, sock 'em, take it to the ring. Hardcore pain is what we bring. Rock 'em, sock 'em, take it to the ring. Half-pint brawlers, hats on me. Rock 'em, sock 'em, take it to the ring. Hardcore pain is what we bring.
Puppet Q-Bob, reincarnated from the dead, the original hardcore midget wrestling company.
He's a little scared to do it.
There we go. Yeah. I don't hit like a girl, Brady. Come on.
like a man, Brady.
Oh! It's in.
It's in.
It's in.
There we go.
$100.
Hold on. Look at that! That's awesome.
I gotta say.
There we go. I'll even keep it in here for you guys. $100 on shoot. Hey, Aftershock, they're on me today. Oh yeah, they bought me dinner yesterday.
It's gonna be a party tomorrow.
You think the waitress will take a bloody $100?
Yes, of course they will.
That's what this whole company's about. I'm not gonna feel sorry for me for being little and people staring at me. If they're gonna stare at me, I'm gonna make money doing it. I thank my parents for that. They raised me to be a powerful man.
My name is Joe Reeve, aka Showbiz Joe. I started was working with Stevie back in like 95-ish, 96. We were just kids. It's been a wild ride, and I'm trying to think of one single story that really sticks out to me, and I have like millions of them. And a lot of them are really hard to believe as well. But I think one story that really stands out is we were doing a show in Detroit, St. Andrews Hall. Actually, I think it was a Stranglemania video show with Insane Clown Posse. So I remember they had the craziest fans. It was always really interesting when we did shows, and they would bring a lot of wrestlers out to join their shows, and a lot of them were like classic wrestlers that you might have known of, and this one in particular was Iron Sheik. Now Iron Sheik at this point in time was already kind of washed up. His ankles were shot. He walked around on stilts. He was on medical marijuana, quite a bit of it, definitely like to self-medicate. So we're self-medicating along with him in the hotel room, having a good old time, and then we get the munchies. We want to head out, grab something to eat, and yeah, White Castle sounded good. In the middle of Detroit, White Castle. All right, let's go get it. I don't remember what time it was, but I know that this White Castle was in the ghetto. I mean, we walked in there, me and Stevie, only white people, probably for miles. That we didn't care about that. It didn't bother us at all, but we were in there, and there's a lady, begging for money for a cheeseburger. And begging, going up to everybody in line, everybody's kind of pushing her away. She gets to the people that are in front of us, this one guy in particular that looked like a thug, gangbanger, goes up to him, asks him for money, and he goes, "Bitch, shut the fuck up. Go sit your ass down before I bust you in the mouth." And this lady just, whatever, sits down. She's mumbling under her breath, "You mother F," And all of a sudden, the guy goes, What'd you say?" Walks over to her, pulls a gun out of his waistband, starts pistol whipping her in the side of the head. The magazine falls out of the gun, hits Pup's shoe. Pup looks at me like, "Hey, should I grab the magazine?" And I'm like, "I don't know, man. You don't know what else he's got. I don't. I wouldn't risk it." He goes, "Hey, man, you dropped your magazine." He's like, "Oh, thanks, bro." Pops in the gun, walks out like nothing, right? Me and Pup are freaking out after we saw this because we're totally fucking high, And so we're totally high. We're fucking wigging out like, wow, is this fucking really happening? And we're just thinking we need to get our fucking burgers and get the fuck out of here before the cops come. And we didn't want to go to court and all that shit. So we get our burger. We're walking out, and this lady's sitting down, and she's enjoying her burger, and with a big smile on her face, even though blood's falling down her face. But she's enjoying her burger because, hey, they felt bad for her and gave her her cheeseburger, so she didn't care. She just got pistol whipped for it. So that was a pretty crazy day. Then we went, finished our 10-sec White Castles and party with Iron Sheik. So that was one crazy story. Another crazy story. Puppet gets a double blood clot by getting a power bomb. We're doing a show out in the south suburbs of Chicago for a company called Raging Bull Productions. He gets power bombed on his head by a regular-sized wrestler, but I guess he landed the wrong way. Gets a double blood clot in his brain. We don't know this. We figure it's a concussion. He gets home and goes into seizure. And next thing you know, he's in the hospital. He's kind of in a semi-coma for a couple days. And this is how tough he was. Pulls himself pretty much out of the hospital against their advice. Stops taking his medicine against their advice. And what do you know? We had spring break shows in Fort Lauderdale. He's at the show, and he's performing, not only wrestling, he's emceeing, but he was holding the mic out of one side of his face because he had Bell's palsy, so like the left side of his face was paralyzed. So I think he was talking out of the right side of his face. And nothing could hold him down. He just had that attitude of, I don't care, what someone's going to tell me. He was so strong-willed, he was just going to do it. And, that's just how he was. He pushed through. I mean, he had more lives than 9, more than 9 lives, more lives than a cat, It was crazy. Another thing that was pretty memorable, we were doing a show. We were about to do a show at Stone Park, Illinois, which at that time might still be. It was like a mob-run town, right? All connected, right? So it's a town you don't mess around in. They're not gonna, they don't do things by the books there for sure. We were at an after-hours bar, and this guy was in the wrong. He was being an ass. He had it coming to him. Goes up to Pup, pushes him in the back of the head. I think he said like, "Hey, midget," and Pup, you know, didn't put up with anyone's shit. And he would tell you, hey, you mess with me, I'm going to use your balls as a speed bag, you know. And in this instance, the guy, right after he pushed him, I think Pup didn't even hesitate. It was a split second. Took his glass. It wasn't a beer bottle. It was an actual thick, like, you know, whiskey glass. He freaking breaks it over the guy's head. And the guy's, you know, I think he was bleeding. He was pretty stunned. And what ended up happening is Stevie, we didn't think anything of it, you know. I think after the fact, you know, we were doing a show like another week later at the same town. We came back to that town. So we didn't think anything of it. We're like, oh, it's just an asshole in a bar. It happens, right? He handled it. Well, I'm in this club with Stevie that he's going to, that he's about to perform at, and like 6 guys bring him in the back room. Plain clothes, bring him in the back room. I don't know who the hell it was. I go up to the door. It's locked. I asked the security guy, who the hell just brought Stevie in the room? Who the fuck was that? And they said, oh, that's the chief of police and a bunch of the cops. They're all off duty. Well, apparently that guy he busted over the head was an off-duty Stone Park police officer. So they just kind of politely let him know that he wasn't allowed in their town and not to mess around and he shouldn't come through there. It's suggested that he doesn't come through their town anymore. When I had that door open, they literally had him sitting on a chair. Yeah, and so next weekend we were back at that bar. So I don't think he gave a shit. That was Stevie. Let's see if I can think of another memorable story, and I have so many of them. Literally, I think I have a notepad full of stories because they were literally coming to me. I know Jim would probably tell you a story, but his brother. But there was a time where a guy, they were down in the basement partying at this. He had this little house in Elgin, Illinois. It was like it was a tiny house. Had a short mailbox. It was the funniest thing, but you know, that was his house. Turtle was his roommate. And I think they had the stripper pole and all set up in the basement. They were hanging out down in the basement. And some guy decided, it wasn't so nice of a neighborhood, decided to break in the house. The guy gets in, Pup hears him come downstairs, and Pup grabs a baseball bat, and he just waits for him to get to the right spot, and he just whacks the guy over the head a couple times, beats the guy, and you know, pretty much held him down with a baseball bat against his throat until the cops got there. The cops didn't seem to care. He beat the hell out of this guy. He said, "Hey, get out of here," you know. So, but he didn't take shit from anyone, and he didn't back down. It didn't matter. He was short. Just to prove a point, he would do that, you know. He had a larger-than-life personality for sure in every aspect of his life, in his personal life and professional. Another thing I could think of, it was a common scenario. If we were doing a show, a little bit of drinking would be going on always, and I remember he would seem to get the munchies real late at night. Everything would be closed, but we'd be walking through the hotel, and he seemed to find food carts just sitting outside people's doors with like half-eaten food. He would just sit down here and pull the metal tray open and just go to town. He'd be eating burger, and it was probably a half-eaten burger and fries, who knows what the hell else. And he just, hey, he was at a buffet in his eyes, right? So he would just sit down there, and it was the funniest thing. Like, oh great, you know. Every time we go to a hotel, I'd be like, oh, is he gonna raid their room service again, you know? So yeah, you'd hijack people's room service. So either whether it was before they got their food or after, but hey, but yeah, I mean, there's so many other crazy stories, man. I remember these gangster guys like that were in his town when he lived in Elgin. A bunch of vatos. They had the hydraulics on the car. I remember Pups just saying, "That's so stupid. Why would someone do something like that?" And he said it right in front of him, and his voice projected. He had a deep, boomy voice, right? It would just carry through walls, it was like he had a megaphone at all times, you know. And so these guys heard him, so they come up and threatening him and said, "What the fuck did you say?" And Pup said, "No, your car, you know, it's just stupid. Why would you do something like that?" So then the guy threatens him, and it's like, Pup's like, whatever, dude. The guy pulls out a gun. Stevie's like, really? A fucking gun? You're gonna fucking pull out a gun on me? And he just belittled this guy, and the look on his face was priceless. Because because he had this look of shock and disbelief that he was insulting him. You know, this little guy was insulting him while he was holding a gun in his head. But he didn't care. He had no fear. Anyway, so those are just a few. I'm sure I will remember a few more. I know a lot of the stories were pretty inebriated most times, so I'd have to really do some thinking. But yeah, so yeah, he was. Yeah, he would party, man. He was. I mean, I remember going. We would have bittersweet. Sometimes he would get we'd get in arguments, and he would sometimes get belligerent. A lot of times I would see him turning when he was at the bar, so his eyes would start rolling back and kind of squinting a little bit. And I'm like, oh, he's starting to turn. He's the happiest guy until he drank too much Jaeger or tequila, and then he would turn. And I saw this, so we had whole strategies if that were to happen, right? Usually it was I would find a really cute girl in the bar, and I'd pay her, whatever, $20. Like, hey, go up to him and say you want to bring him home with you. And then we'd get him off the bar stool, and she would get him to walk out to the car, and then he'd get in our car, and then she would end up taking off. And by that time, he's already in the car, and I'm taking off, and he's like, where'd she go? That bitch left me. And he would just be pissed for a little bit and then forget about it. But if we didn't do that, then he would get a little belligerent. Sometimes he would say, DJ, you suck. Or he didn't care. He'd piss on the DJ's bar. He'd piss at the bar. He didn't give a shit. Yeah, I mean, you live life to the fullest, for sure. But yeah, I have many other stories, but no matter how crazy it got, how unbelievable the stories got. Another story that just came to mind, actually, we could add this in, is the way he got his name, Puppet the Psycho Dwarf. Now, it was just Puppet prior to a House of Blues show, and I believe it was 1999, where he was, we were doing a show with Eminem at the House of Blues in Chicago. It was Eminem's first album. He was obliterated, partying, and I guess he was pretty wild that first few albums. We were drinking Heinekens, because I know he liked Heinekens at the time, and we were all drinking Heineken and partying, and I remember it got to a point where we had to carry him to the stage. His manager was freaking out, but he somehow was like his light switch. Eminem got up there, performed, it was awesome, great show. You probably wouldn't have guessed from the audience it was short, maybe a little shorter than normal. But Stevie was up there, pretty much crowd surfing, stage diving, right? And we're talking, this stage was probably 8-10 feet off the ground, cement. Stevie at his height, that might have been like, to us, it'd probably be like 15-20 fucking foot drop, like crazy, right? So he ends up just jumping off the stage, right? And for some reason, it was one of those moments in time where everybody just kind of like spread apart a little bit. And he landed right on the concrete, busted his head, busted his lip. He's bleeding, but he gets right back up, gets right on stage and starts, stage diving again. And Eminem looks at him and goes, looks back at the crowd and says, "That's a Psycho Dwarf right there, Psycho Dwarf." So from that point on, it was Puppet the Psycho Dwarf. So kind of an interesting story. So that's how he got the name Puppet the Psycho Dwarf. Yeah, and then after the show, I think Eminem, we carried him back to the hotel room. He passed out in bed, and Puppet's powerbomb just kind of landed on top of him. "Wake up, motherfucker!" Jumping on Eminem, and he was out cold. And I think everybody was, his whole crew was in the next hotel room over, like all the groupies and stuff. Yeah, he was out cold. So we had a midget jumping on him, that wasn't exactly light. He didn't even phase him. So, but anyway, yeah. So interesting. Another story just came to mind. So I'll think of more as the night goes on. We'll just share them with you guys. But thank you, and Stevie. Times it's been a roller coaster ride, ups and downs, and I can't thank you enough for being a part of my life, and I feel honored to be a part of your life and legacy. And we always believed in each other, and we always encouraged each other and lifted each other up in our personal lives as well as our professional life. And I want to thank you for just making a difference and being like a brother from another mother to me. And I love you, brother. You have a legacy. We will honor that legacy for you, man. And yeah, you left so much behind, so many pieces of a puzzle. These are just a few stories of many that you'll hear that just form this timeline, this puzzle of his outrageous and unique life that he lived. So, thank you, brother. Love you, brother. Rest in peace.
How's it going? I'm here to tell a story about Pup. My first name's Kurt. Most of you know me as Weed Man. I used to have a really long ponytail, and I was always the guy holding the camera, setting up the ring. Not only was Pup a good friend of mine, I used to work for him. He was my boss. I got a story I got to tell about this guy. I've been telling this story for about 20 years now. It's one of my favorite stories to tell. We were in Kenosha, Wisconsin, and we got to the revenue, and my job was to set up the ring. And I had a lot of other jobs too. I was a stagehand, I was cameraman, I was security. I'm a bigger guy, you know. So I got the ring all set up, and I let Puppet know, hey Steve, yeah, I got the ring set up. I'm pretty sure I'm done. And he's like, all right, let's check this out. So him and I get back up into the ring. We stand in the middle. He jumps around a little bit. He runs back and forth from rope to rope, rope to rope, just feeling everything out. He's like, comes back to me, he's like, all right, Weed Man, you did a good job. Good thing for your ass. And I looked at him and I was like, wait a minute, what do you mean for my ass? He's like, because if you didn't, I'd have to fucking kick your ass. I was like, really? So I stood over Puppy, because I'm 6 foot tall, I'm a big guy. I stood over him, I put my hands on my hips, and I looked down at him and said, oh really? And what exactly would you do about it, little man? So, as the word man was coming out of my mouth, this little man grabbed me by the fucking belt, pulled me towards him, and I start stumbling like, oh fuck, I don't want to crush this little midget before he's got a show. He was expecting that, and as I fall over him, he catches me with his other hand right on the chest. And now he's got me by the belt and the chest. And this man, who mind you could lift 350 pounds at least 20 years ago, picked me up above his head, spun around about 360, 3-4 times he spun around, and flung my fucking big ass right across the ring. I just rolled across the ring.
Wait.
What?
Found a staple gun?
Huh?
Find a staple gun?
Nah, I don't know where a staple gun is. See, they always used to come to me for the staple gun and the alcohol.
I asked you to talk to Zach.
No, it wasn't me. Drunk ass, this turtle over here trying to tell me what to do still.
Actually,
20 years later.
Oh, my bad. You know what? You're damn right. My bad. So sorry. But I ain't lying. Do me a favor. Find me a staple gun.
I'll do my best.
Talk to Zach.
20 years it hasn't changed.
Talk to Zach. I need a staple gun.
I gotta finish my video.
You do what you gotta do.
I get flung across the ring, I'm rolling across the ring. That's where I left off before Turtle interrupted me.
Midget love!
As I look up, all I see is this angry little fucking dwarf coming at me. He was gonna fucking drop an elbow on my face or his fat ass on my face. I don't know what it was, but I knew where it was coming. And I rolled up, got up, whoa, Steve, calm down. That's one of my favorite stories to tell about Steve, aka Puppet, Pup, Psycho Dwarf. That he was a good man though. And I'll never forget, of all the bosses I've had in my life, later that night after we tore down the ring and carried everything out to his trailer, he pulled me aside and said, you know what, Weed Man? You're the hardest fucking worker I've ever seen. I really appreciate your work, man. And then he brought me out in front of everybody else that was part of the show, stage hands, ring hands, call them what you want. And he told everybody, you know what? You should see what this guy does. You should follow his lead. And I've never had a boss that really made me feel good like that. So, Pup, I love you, man. You were a good man. You were a good friend. That's all I got.
I'm John Thill, known as Vomit back in the days. Lots of stories about Puppet. I was part of the original crew that hit the road and did this thing. So, I'll tell you how it kind of started. I went to college here in central Illinois, listened to Mancow on the radio. I've been in the wrestling business a couple years, and this dwarf or midget, whatever term we want to use, that used to travel in his pod, Chris Geyer, he was our manager for the Wicked Jesters, and showed up to a show and he asked me, have you ever heard of this Puppet the Psycho Dwarf? Oh yeah, I know, he's legit. And that's kind of what got the ball rolling. When they decided to start hitting the road, I was told that we were going to be on the road for 3 days. And so that's what I packed for. They really kidnapped me and took me on the road for 3 months. And it was the best decision I ever made. We went on the road for 3 months and went home for a couple days and then turned around and went right back out. Everything I've done in life, post Bloody Midget, post Rock'em Sock'em, post wrestling, I owe everything to this. Puppet was a one of a kind, and wanted you to be a star, carry yourself like a star, act like a star. Puppet and I really didn't know each other when I first started, and one night everybody else was asleep in the van. It was just me and him. I'm driving, and we spent about 3 hours talking and listening to the Bodyguard soundtrack, and bonded over the song "I'm Every Woman." Puppet and I would get drunk a lot. He would fire me every single night. I would quit, and then we'd make up the next morning, or didn't even remember it happened. And he was an encourager to me. Always pushed me forward. One of my favorite Puppet drinking stories, though, Bar Nashville. I would only drink tequila. Double shot after tequila, one right after the other. Puppet decides one night he is going to keep up with me drinking tequila. So we sat at the bar, started doing shots, and then Puppet gets the Puppet googly eyes, which I don't know how many people are familiar with that, but like his eyes would just start going, they weren't matching each other, and he was just beyond hammered. Last call, we gotta drink up and head out. So we do our last double shot, he spits it all over the bar. And then he decides that he's going to drive us back to the hotel. And I couldn't get the keys away from him. And that was the longest 8-mile drive of my entire life. With the trailer bouncing off the cement barricades. Somehow we made it. I think that's how it was back then. We just somehow always made it. When I got married, Puppet was in my wedding. Puppet and Tio, and I couldn't think of 2 other guys that I'd rather have for that day to be in my wedding. I'm gonna miss him. He was one of a kind, and there's lots of other things to talk about. He used to hate it when Ace and I would wrestle each other, and we would just beat the living shit out of each other. We were in Norfolk, Virginia, and I'd taken a pool stick and wrapped it in barbed wire. And Puppet was like, don't hit each other in the head with it. Don't hit each other in the head with it. I'm going to be pissed if you do that. We beat each other senseless with a pool stick wrapped in barbed wire. And of course we got fired, and of course we got rehired the next day. But yeah, there's always going to be... My life is forever impacted by him. Live your life like you're a star. And that's what he was. He was a star.
Mad Max, he's my hardcore wrestler. He'll take anything in the ring.
to make the show better.
It's time for this Vato Loco to kick some midget ass. Any story I want to tell, good God, I got millions. One that sticks out to me the most, me and Puppet did a show, I think in Champaign, Illinois, I think, and we just literally beat the shit out of each other. I mean, literally. And we get done. I go in the back. I'm getting ready to start cleaning up because I got blood all over my face and all. And I'm cleaning up, and Puppet comes in the back. He has a beer bottle in his hand, and he's drinking out of it. He sees me, goes, Max! Breaks the bottle. I'm like, oh shit, here we go. You know, I better stand my ground because we're going to go at it. You know, it's going to be a shoot fight, for real. He comes toward me, he grabs me, goes, that's what I'm talking about. I want you to do that every goddamn show. Beat the shit out of me. He goes, I don't give a shit what happens. If I lose a tooth, so be it. He goes, but goddamn, boy, that was a hell of a match. That's what I want done. Every show from you. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh my God. Puppet, don't you ever do that to me again, bro, because you scared the living hell out of me. I was afraid that me and you were going to go at it. He goes, oh no, bro. He gives me a hug. He gives me a kiss on the cheek. He goes, brother, no. He goes, you're family. He goes, I would never do that to you. He goes, I hope to God you never do that to me either. No. You know, God damn, it's been about, we worked together for about 15 years. And we were family. I loved that guy to death. He knew I had his back. I knew he definitely had mine. Even though I was older than him, and I've been in the business longer than he has been, I learned from him. I learned that don't let anybody disrespect you, and don't take any bullshit off anybody. I'm a human just like every single person on earth. And, you know, I loved him. I just loved him. He was my brother. You know, and when I flew into shows to Chicago, stayed at his house with him, he was passionate about the sport. When I first got with him, we did a show, and after the match was over, he comes in the back and he's like, look, I don't have a contract. This is my contract. I see how passionate you are about this sport and how much you live it.
He's going to staple his head.
We're resuming, he's just staple his head. I don't know if everybody stapled their head in memory of Pop. Do you want to do it too?
Yeah, I'll do my nuts. Really? Oh, yeah.
Staples.
You heard that
Staples.
one, boy.
Yeah, we need to
Oh, Staples?
go buy some. Quarter inch Staples.
3/4 inch staples, guys.
Quarter inch Staples. I will say on that with Buckeye. Just to make sure they fit that motherfucker. It's a Stanley. Is it? All right, look. It's a Stanley. That's a heavy duty. It's not a light heavy duty. It's a heavy duty. But we need quarter inch Staples. Yeah, take it with, bro. Why do you keep going around here?
Just resume.
I grew up with my grandma and I studied what's going to happen.
Oh, I didn't want you missing it. Sorry to
But like I said, Puppet turned around and goes, look, I don't have a contract.
I was trying to remember. I got so many of them. Like,
this is my contract. He goes,
crazy shit.
stay loyal, be respectable, and I'll make you famous. I shook his hand, and he turned around and goes, the only thing I asked, and he told me what it was, and I was like, deal. And next thing I knew, I was traveling all over the United States. All over the United States. I hit every single state. All 50 states. And he took me everywhere. He told me that I was his brother and he loved me. And Puppet never said that to anybody unless he meant it. And every time we beat the hell out of each other. After the show was over, we were in the back in the dressing room. We shake each other's hand, gave each other a hug, and we gave each other a kiss on the cheek and told each other, I love you. I love you, Puppet, with all my heart, bro. And I miss you like crazy. We may have never seen eye to eye on certain things, but hell, whoever does. I love you, and I miss you like crazy. God bless you, brother. Puppet, I love you.
What did Puppet used to say? Wait, Turtle. What did Puppet
Just can't believe you're gone, bro.
I used to swallow those sticks.
But I know that you're better off. And hopefully I won't be that far behind you. God bless you, Puppet. I love you.
My ring name is Turtle. Actual name Jake Collier. Used to go by Cricket the Midget. Introduced as Cricket on the Half Pint Brawlers when we did Spike TV. My name got changed from Cricket to Turtle by Little Kato, Beautiful Aberdeen, and Puppet the Psycho Dwarf. So now I am Turtle the Fertile. Yeah, ladies, you heard that right. Turtle the Fertile. But anyhow, greatest memory with Pup. I can't say it's the greatest memory I have, but it's probably the best memory I have. So I was the rookie. We were doing Spike TV. They were hazing me. They were putting me through hell. And, you know, every wrestler, not just midget wrestlers, but every wrestler has to go through some hazing in their lifetime when they're green, when they're rookies, when they're the newbies or vanilla, whatever you want to call it. They are the new guy or new gal. That's who they are. They have full-on rights by the veterans. A veteran being somebody that's been in the business longer than you have, whether it be a day or a year or 10 years, longer than you have. A veteran is a veteran in our business. They had all rights to haze the hell out of me. Oh, they did. They painted me silver on Bourbon Street. They staple gunned my nutsack. They painted me into a teddy bear costume in a gay club and dressed me up in a teddy bear costume for a bear party when we thought we were going to the Chicago Bears versus the Green Bay Packers. All they said we were going to a Bears and Packers party. My man, my lady, we went to an actual Bears and Packers party, but it wasn't a Bears and Packer party we were expecting. It was a straight up Bears and Packer party. Dressed me up as a teddy bear and in costume, made me strip out of it into a G-string, taking dollar bills out of other men's mouths with my mouth. Oh, don't don't deny and don't forget. I actually did that. You want to know why? I was willing to do it. Not because I'm gay or anything. I got nothing wrong with it, but I ain't gay. I did it to pay my fucking dues. Best fucking memory I have of puppet, and it's my worst memory at the exact same time. I was told that, and this is at the end of my initiation, this is the end of my hazing, for me to become a half-pint brawler. Turtle, Puppet's words. Stevie Lee, Puppet's words. Turtle, you're finally ready to become a brawler, but you have to be branded as a brawler. In my mind, I thought the word branded meant like a fucking cow brand or a pig brand, you know, something the cowboys take fucking put on somebody's ass. I said that to Pup. You mean like I gotta be branded on the ass? He's like, no, but that's a great spot for it to go. I'm gonna give you a free tattoo that represents the half-pint brawlers on your ass. On your body, but on your ass. Because I want to brand you as a half-pint brawler. I'm like, alright, cool, let's do it. Now, I'm not drunk. I'm not high. I'm not 3 sheets to the wind. I'm actually dead cold sober when I agree to this. That was the worst fucking words I could have ever used. I agree. I'm down. I'm ready to go. Well, we set up the tattoo appointment. Puppet had one stipulation. I am not allowed to see what the tattoo is going to be. I am allowed to know that it's going to resemble or represent the half-pint brawlers. I said, alright, cool. I trusted that man with my life, and I still do to this day, even though he's gone. I trusted him all the way until his dying day with my life in hand. So I had no issue. I sat through a 5.5 hour, which should have only taken 2, but a 5.5 hour long tattoo should have only taken 2.5 hours max, because it was so painful. It was literally that painful. I didn't use inkies, I didn't use any numbing solution. I took it. The fact that I'm going to say I took it like a man, it's kind of a joke on the end. So I took it like a man. The pain, I took the pain like a man. After my 5.5 hour session of the tattoo's done. All the boys are cracking up laughing. Kato, Bobby Dean, Mex, Tio, Puppet. All of the boys are laughing their asses off. Literally hysterically dying laughing. Well, Puppet, or well, Turtle, you are officially a half-pint brawler. I'm like, yes! And me, being the green that I am, so fucking vanilla to the company, no idea what it means. I am ecstatic. I am ready to go. Yeah! I got my half-pint brawler tattoo. I'm ready to go. I got a second half-pint brawler tattoo. This right here is my second half-pint brawler tattoo. HPB half-pint brawlers. Our original, vintage, 100% down to the earth original logo. Hey, Spider, get the hell out of here. Fucking Spider. Original logo. What I thought I was getting on my ass cheek. Now what I got. You want to see what I got? Then I'll tell you about it afterwards. Do me a favor, will you hold that? Cameraman, I'm going to need you to stand up. Come over to my left ass cheek. Come behind me. I don't know if you can see that or not. Can you see that? Yep. Tell me when we're good. The face? Yep.
What is that stunt?
So, ladies and gentlemen, obviously, as you can see, I didn't get that. I got Puppet the motherfucking Psycho Dwarf as Jerry motherfucking Lewis on my ass.
He's gonna have this tattoo on his ass for the rest of his life. Oh.
I got the face of the Half Pint Brawlers tattooed on my ass. So I got a man's face tattooed on my ass cheek. You know how I made it the greatest day of my life? I told Stevie Lee, Puppet the motherfucking Psycho Dwarf himself. Hey, bro. I know I'm the rookie, but I get to shit on you every day of my life. And he fucking lost it. He died laughing. He cracked up laughing. That, by far, is the best memory that I have with my brother. Papa, I love you. I'll see you when it's my time.
Okay, so my name is Heather Jarman. We're the owners of J&H Decks and Repairs. We are the ones that rebuilt Steve's deck and put his fence up for his fur babies. So I have this little story. So when we went to go do this estimate for him, his name didn't ring a bell to me at the time. So we get over to his house, and you know his dogs are barking, and you hear this big old deep voice yelling at these dogs to shut up. You think this big old tall Jolly Green Giant dude's gonna come walking out the door. Nope, out came this little short dude come walking out the door. It was so funny. I was like that big old voice, such a short man. And then my husband recognized him right away. That he played in Jackass 3D the movie. And then we also discovered that he played in The Oz, which is one of my favorite movies. And for the short period of time that we knew him, it was like we known him our whole life, like we became family instantly. No matter what kind of mood he was in, no matter if he was hurting, he was always smiling, he was always happy, always willing to be there and give an extra hand, extra mile for anybody, give you a shirt off his back. That was just Stevie. He was just a happy-go-lucky guy. I just can't believe that he's gone unexpectedly. It broke my heart. Now he's not hurting no more, and he's flying high. So
Hey Steve, what's going on, buddy? Long time no see. I know you're riding high. Thank you for choosing me to do your deck. You inspired me to get into my music and pursue something that I didn't necessarily I was going to do. So, big thanks out to you, and rest in peace, big buddy. Ride high.
He's the world's smallest extreme athlete. We call him
I'll take this way back to 1999. I'm straight out of high school, probably doing some construction job. Don't know where I'm going with my life, and I go to a local ECW show in Gary, Indiana, and POD, Pissed Off Dwarf, and Puppet was there, Man Pondo, and all these guys who I had no idea who they were, and a guy that a guy that my sister was dating at the time goes, "Yo, that's Puppet from Mancow." I go, "Okay," and Puppet would always wear these huge bicycle helmets, and Puppet already had a big head, and he had this huge bicycle helmet, and I was just like, Jesus Christ, man. And I was like, I've been around midgets, but it was like, Jesus, he's got a cranium on him. So we were watching this show, and I'm just a fan at the time, and I'm watching the show, and Pod comes up to me and goes, "Hey, man, are you a wrestler?" I go, "No, I'm not." And he goes, "Well, you ever decide one? Here's a card." So he hands me a card, and I just put it in my pocket, not thinking about it. I go on my way, and I don't know if it's several months or how long down the road, I go to a local wrestling show, and this guy asked me, he's like, "Hey, man, you want to be my sidekick?" And I go, "Yeah, sure, it sounds like fun. I'm just doing construction. It sounds like something fun and interesting to do." So I start being this guy's sidekick. And then they bring in Tracy Smothers, which any wrestling fan would know who Tracy Smothers is. And he wanted to do a spot with me. So they started teaching me how to take bumps at the school, which bumps means learning how to fall and that type of thing. And so I did some bumps, falls, and did that show. And Tracy Smothers was like, "Man, you did really well, awesome." My ignorant ass thought I could wrestle at that point. Not having a match, probably have only trained 4-5 months at the most, and I called that number, and they're like, "Yeah, we're having a show at Sluggers." And I know it was winter time because my sister's boyfriend at the time drove me here, and it was winter, in the middle of winter. I mean snow, Chicago winter, deep snow. A line out the door 2 hours before showtime, and I'm like, what the hell did I just, what is this? And I get here, walk in, I won't say my age to protect, well, it doesn't really matter now. I was 19, and this is 1999, and a kid. And I come in here, and they have their wrestlers, and I'm nervous, and I'm like, who am I gonna wrestle? What am I gonna do? And I start talking to guys, and they're like, okay, you're gonna wrestle Holyfield. And he was the black midget would wrestle with the guys, and I was just like, all right. And I'm nervous because I've never had a match. I'm nervous, and I'm like, so what are we gonna do? He's like, oh, we'll talk about it later. And I'm like, okay. And everybody's partying, just having a great time, and I'm hundreds of people, and I'm like, man. And so we get in the ring, and we just go with it. And I start just doing my thing, and at that time, in my young age, I was a high flyer. I'm doing a bunch of moves off the top rope. I'm doing flips, blah, 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 blah. So yeah, now I think I can wrestle, and the card they gave me, I give them a call. Oh yeah, and we're here at Sluggers, middle winter, line around the building, and I keep asking, who am I gonna wrestle? Blah blah blah. They're like, you're gonna wrestle Holyfield, and I get in there, and I start doing my flips and things, not worried about it. just gonna do what I think I know what I'm doing. And at the time, I did not know how to do a wrestling match. Did not know how to conduct it. I'll admit that. But Puppet loved my energy, loved what I did, and he was like, dude, I'm getting ready to go on tour. We're gonna go to the whole Midwest, East Coast. Do you wanna come? And I'm like, I'm a 19-year-old kid, and you're gonna pay me X amount of dollars to tour the United States, and you're gonna pay me? I'm like, hell yes. So we start touring, and I mean, we're hitting the Midwest, we're hitting the East Coast, we're doing all these bars, and just having a time of our life. And there comes a time where we get to connect with Slim Jim the Beef Jerky with Macho Man. And me and Puppet fly out to Charlotte, and a big banquet table, and me and Puppet show up in sweatpants and sweatshirts, and it's a boardroom meeting, and I'm sitting there, and Macho Man walks in, and who is, as a wrestling fan, was my idol, and I'm just sitting there going, holy shit, it's Macho Man, dude. And they tell me, like, they're gonna do this promotional thing outside, like Turner Fields, like major sporting arenas, and they are gonna have just promotional things. They're gonna have inflatable games, get things kids can ride, video games, big screen, and they're gonna have bands, and then we're gonna wrestle in between the band changes. Cool, easy enough, right? So we're gonna do it, and so we wrestle in between the band changes, and then Macho Man likes what we do so much. He goes, Tio, he's like, dude, he goes, and this is right about the time Vince McMahon bought out WCW and ECW. So a lot of guys didn't have jobs. So this guy from Australia, Andrew McManus, was going to do a pay-per-view in Vegas. And Macho Man was going to be on it. He's like, hey, I can get you on this pay-per-view. And we're like, sweet, let's do it. So we fly out to Vegas, me and Puppet, and we do this pay-per-view. And Macho Man didn't even show up for whatever reason. I love you, Macho Man. Thank you for the opportunity. But I don't know if it was money or what. But we did it. And so we did the pay-per-view. And then we did the pay-per-view in Vegas. We go, and they're like, yo, they like what we did. So they're like, hey, we're going to do a tour in Europe. So they brought us over to Europe. We did Ireland, Scotland, Switzerland, England, New Zealand, all over the place. And it was just always a snowball effect with us, where then we go and we meet Trip Taylor, and we have the reality show. And the reality show, our producer was a producer of Jackass 3D. And then we get on the movie of Jackass 3D. And so everything me and Puppet did together, it just meshed. He was always good on the microphone, great at playing the bad guy, and he always made me look like $1 million. I was a wrestler. I always put the matches together and playing the good guy. And for us, it made it work. And there's a lot of companies out there right now that try to imitate, but they'll never duplicate what the original Rock'em Sock'em, Bloody Midgets, Half Pint Brawlers will be. Because we were the originals. We were the starters. All these other companies, they're trying to do it, but you can't duplicate something that was original. And what Puppet did and started was original. And I would never had the opportunity to do the things and travel the country and go to 7 different countries before I was 25 without him. And so I'm grateful, I'm thankful that me and Puppet's lives cross paths for whatever reason. And I really wish that, of course, you always wish he could see how much he was loved and appreciated. But I know he's looking down on us all and smiling and giving us the Puppet ha 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 laugh. And but the career I have, 20 years plus in the wrestling industry, I wouldn't have been able to have it without him. And I am truly honored and privileged to say that he was a friend and a brother. So, Puppet, thank you.
We accomplished what we wanted to. We've been working all week for this. Thank you guys. I love every single one of y'all. Alright, leave here. Decatur Rock Killer! My life is wonderful. He's alright. So much. I love you so much. The tour has officially started, and that's all I ask, man. I'm so happy.
Till the sun comes up under moonlight, summer night in July. Whiskey filling up our cups, yeah, yeah, yeah. He's dreaming,
Just landed LAX, 21 years old, getting paid by check. Hopefully get cash, gotta paint my rent. About to spend it fast, cause within my brain I'm spent. Damn, last night 20,000 people. Met Joey Badass, feeling me amigo. First class flight, feeling like an eagle. Backstage, Red Rocks, chilling like the Beatles. Damn, this is the dream. Everything ain't what it seems. I see stars when I'm awake. At night I'm fast asleep, I'm on the road. Out here chasing ghosts. Don't wait up for me, I'm in the cold. Embracing my soul, searching for my peace.
baby, I'm on my way, yeah. Cruising till the sun comes up under moonlight, summer night in July. Whiskey filling up our cups, yeah, yeah, yeah. He's dreaming,
I'ma tip that back. Money rules the world, I'ma get that bag. Time flies, I don't know how I get that fast. You gotta live for the moment, every tick that's passed. Punch, don't like whip that ass. Stun, homie, I mean really get that cash. You live once, homie, you'll never get that back. Dream big, fight hard, and don't get that bag. Chill, take a minute, kick your feet up. Take a look around, you got everything you needed. Take a look at life, it's all how you perceive it. Take a walk through a dream, keep what you keepin'. You just sleep, you just sleepin'. You just sleep, you just sleeping. The only thing between you and what you dream is a bit of conscience and the things you believe in.
baby, I'm on my way, yeah. Cruising till the sun comes up under moonlight, summer nights in July. Whiskey filling up our cups, yeah, yeah, yeah. He's dreaming. Daydreaming.
Ha